Hello YouTube, I'm back again with another video. This is going to be a non-custom duel. The deck I'm going to be playing is Floowandereeze, but unfortunately it's not going to be a long duel considering how quick this duel is, and I'm going to explain why, because this one card right here is going to win me the duel. So you'll find out why I win this duel. So he adds, in response I chain with Shifter. Very powerful card this format, and especially if you have ways of abusing it, but I'm going to be doing the deck profile later, but you'll find out why he loses at this point. So, and I'm not trying to get carried away, because the reason why he loses because he realizes he can't send cards to his graveyard, because that's the only way he can activate certain card effects. But this is going to be right now with the next card he's going to activate. I have to remind him. As soon as he activates, I tell him to pause, wait, I'm going to read the card first before you activate. I immediately let him know that he cannot do this simply because it has to send to the graveyard, because with Shifter activated, you're banishing instead. It would go to the banish zones instead, but for this card to activate, it has to send to the grave. And he realizes he approves, he acknowledges the effect, only to realize that he can't do anything. So my guess is he wanted to get rid of Prophecy in order to draw more cards, in order to possibly Pendulum Summon and draw some stronger monsters. But besides that, let me get straight to the deck profile. Since the video itself was too quick, obviously we're playing 3 Ash Blossom, we're playing 1 Stormwinds, which is easily accessible with your Floowandereeze lower level monsters, which I'll be showing you. So instead of DD Crow, we're playing 1 Snow, just be a card that can be able to disrupt your opponent's turn. And not only that, just this is a crazy card too, because when it's normal summoned, you can conduct up to 3 normal summons besides 1. And the card that won me the duel is Triple D Shifter. I found a way where I can activate the second and third copy, because I can banish another one. I can banish one from my grave by using one of my Floowandereeze monsters, which I'll be showing you later. But then you have to, but it won't be now. But let me get to the next card that I'm playing. Is gonna be Floowandereeze and Eglin. Just being able to add one of my level 7 or higher winged beast monsters straight from my deck to my hand, and then being able to immediately normal summon, which is the purpose of the deck. Not only that, one thing I have to mention is that to all the lower level Floowandereeze monsters, some people need to realize that even they get banished when they are face up and they leave the field. But the best part is that you can always retrieve them from your banish zone if you manage to normal summon a winged beast monster. So if you normal summon a winged beast monster, you can add one of your lower level Floowandereeze monsters from your banish zone to your hand. And then the crazy part, like I already talked about, is that even though they are being banished from the field, that gives it an opportunity for you to retrieve the monster. And then although you cannot special summon, the fact is that the archetype has its own infinite loop. So even if you lose monsters, you just keep getting them back, regardless if you can't use your graveyard. So you can always be able to use your banish zone. And for our other higher level Floowandereeze monster, we're playing Empin. Some people prefer to play 1, I prefer to play 2, because it allows you to gain more consistency. Just be able to allows you to add a Floowandereeze card from your deck to your hand. That's how long as the spell is a trap card, giving you additional normal summon, and then preventing your special summon attack visitor monster from activating their effects. On top of being able to have the attack of the monster that's battling as long as you banish a card during the damage step. And then we're going to go straight to our other Floowandereeze monster, Robina, which is 100% mandatory. Just being able to pretty much get all your lower level like winged beast monsters, and being able to, like I mentioned, why we were playing Stormwinds, because easily accessible as always with Robina if you have it on in your hand. And again, this is something that you cannot play less than 3. It has to be the 3. If you were to play more than 3, 100% play most like 4, 5, 6 if the rules were to change. But this is a card that you don't play less of. You always max it out. And some people, this is a card you can reduce on. You can reduce playing multiple copies, but for me, I'm playing 3 Floowandereeze Stride, but however you pronounce it. This card allows you to take and abuse D-Shifter, like I talked about, because it's banishing any card from the graveyard to the banish zone. And again, but that's the only way you can be able to normal summon, but that's not the point. It's that you want to keep being able to abuse D-Shifter. And this is something I have no regrets playing because, yeah, you could replace the third one for DD Crow, but I feel just DD Crow just doesn't do enough in my opinion, so I would prefer to play just max on this card in my opinion. Again, just my thoughts, and then just be able to see your Floowandereeze monster hand just helps you gain additional normal summons. And our last low level, the Floowandereeze monster playing Tokan, being able to retrieve your Floowandereeze cards from your banners onto your hand. Doesn't matter whether it's a monster or a spell trap, which is always something you have to consider playing at 1. I want to consider playing more than that because it's always going to come back to your hand, like the rest of the low Floowandereeze lower level monsters. And for our final higher level monsters, playing Mist Valley Apex Avian. Originally I was playing 3, but I think 2, and I feel like 1 is perfect because I figured 100% why you just play 1 card, because you don't want to leave your self defense, although yes, it has a power effect where it can return itself to negate the activation of card effect and destroy it, but there are times you want to at least have another monster on board that's strong but doesn't that can remain on the field. And our final level, higher level monster, we're playing Rise of the Mega Monarch. You don't really use the first effect, but it's a crazy effect because it can get rid of additional cards, especially if you tribute a wind monster. You get an additional target where it's like, now instead of 1, you can target up to 2 cards and then place them on top of the deck in any order. It has another, after that, you can return an additional card target, but it's not going to deck, but goes to hand. So you can return this, but it depends how you use it. But at the same time, you want to be able to use this card's effect again. So so returning it back to hand is not a bad idea because you can be able to wait next turn to get rid of more cards on your opponent's field. Or if you have the opportunity, if you have the chance, like you can just be able to blow up your opponent's field and possibly game them. But also you have to remember your opponent might play some hand traps that might prevent them from losing that turn. And going straight to the spells, we're playing the Floowandereeze Adventure, banishing a winged beast monster from your hand or face of field. Doesn't seem like a minus because it's also lets you at least banish from your field, but then being able to add a Floowandereeze monster or a field spell from your deck to hand, then gain 500 life points. Although the 500 life points seem necessary, it would have been better if it was 500 life points for each banished Floowandereeze monster or card. Then the effect would have been 100%. Would have made a lot of sense, would it? Because it just doesn't seem. It just seems pointless if it's just 500, but it could have been 500 for each one with a different name that is banished. And the card that we can add with Advent of Adventure, Magnificent Map, we're playing 3 of, just being able to get an additional normal summon with our Floowandereeze, but you gotta reveal one, you banish one Floowandereeze card with a different name from your deck, immediately normal summon the monster that was revealed. But what's crazy is that it can be activated during your opponent's turn, so if they normal summon, you normal summon the Floowandereeze monsters from your hand, and then which will be able to trigger that effect, gain you additional normal summon, and possibly be able to disrupt your opponent's turn while this card is active. And our final Floowandereeze spells, Unexplored Winds, basically basically a Monarch Stormforth, but better because it's a continuous spell. So what's crazy is that you contribute one of your monsters, but at the same time you contribute one of your opponent's cards. It doesn't have to be a monster. It can be a spell trap card. So what I think some people, but I'm also trying to figure that if your opponent's cards are unaffected, this can get around that. If your opponent has a monster that's unaffected, you can still be able to get rid of it because it's hard to, for those people it's hard to, it's not removing the card, it is getting rid of the card as a cost. So it's using cost to get rid of the card. And the best part about the first effect is that you can use this multiple times if you still have more additional normal summons. And just being able to just get rid of more of your opponent, and just being able to empty your opponent's field until you have more monsters on the field. And the last effect is that you can reveal up to 2 winged beast monsters in your hand, place them on the bottom deck, draw cards equal to that number placed. Now, if a card that's 100% mandatory, 3-pot duality, because you want to see Floowandereeze monsters, and it's not only being able to excavating 3 cards, but getting you a chance to add any of the 3 excavated cards from the top of your deck to your hand. And a card that we're maxing out as 3-pot of Extravagance Although, yeah, you can't be able to draw cards, but Pod Duel is able to get around that. So that's why with Pod Extravagance you get more cards, at least because you don't really use the extra deck, since you don't really use the extra deck that much. But at least with Pod Duel, it's basically you're getting 3 more additional cards. And on top of the reason why this is useful with Pod Duel because you're not drawing, you're adding cards, as well as terraforming, which helps us get Magnificent Map. And for our final drops, we're playing Floowandereeze and the Dreaming Town, just being able to normal summon lower level wing beast monster during our opponent's turn. And then if we tribute summon a level 7 or higher monster while this card's in here, just changing all of our opponent's face up monsters to face down position, just to ensure that the face up monster does not become a problem and we can be able to hinder their effects. And the last final trap lane we're maxing out is 3 infinite permanents, just being able to slow our opponent down so our second turn can go well after. And going straight to the extra deck, we're playing 2 Zeus, and so you want to at least have 2, so that if you accidentally banish 1, you can potentially have 1 in your extra deck. So, but you can reduce the odds with Pot of Extravagance by adding more copies, which I'm doing with my other cards. But this card itself is very useful, and I have ways of easily summoning it. Being able to send all your opponent's cards or all the cards on the field to the grave can be very helpful, although it seems like a desperate move, but it ensures that you have a strong monster and that you don't have any cards that are trying to stop you from killing your opponent, that are trying to prevent you from winning the game, and you want to increase the odds of you winning as much as possible. And again, maxing out on 3 Lyrilisk Assembled Nightingale. Although it doesn't seem like a lot, but again, although it gains 200 for each material attached to it, it's not really a lot, but it can attack directly, plus getting additional attacks for each material attached to it. Although on top of that, you detach 1 material in order to protect your Lyrilisk monsters, and then on top of that, they can be destroyed by battle card effects, and you take no battle damage involving them. For our final Lyrilisk monster, Recital Storm, you have to be real, you only need 1 copy. If 6C summon helps you power up on your stronger monsters, I would prefer to do that with my own monsters and potentially can win you the game. And then it gets you more consistency, because it doesn't really matter if you do take damage with this card, because at least if your opponent manages to take the same amount of damage is enough. Because I'm going to give an example. Let's say you have way more life points than your opponent. Your opponent managed to have like 3,000 life points and they have a 3,000 monster. You attack into the 3,000 monster. Sure, you take 3,000, but your life points will remain at 5,000. But your opponent's life points will go from 3,000 to 0 because you already attacked their 3K monster. So that can come in clutch when needed, but you have to be sure not to get desperate as to kill yourself. And because because I think how this card applies is that you have to take damage first before you damage your opponent. So you have to look into that before you think of want to attack to your opponent. And then going to our link monsters, Black Luster Soldier Chaos, just being able to easily manage to summon this card get to have this really strong monster being able to have these massive amount of effects. Ensures that it can't be destroyed by card effects, or cannot be destroyed by card effects, can't be targeted by card effects. The only good effect from the last 3 is because you do have 3 choices, but you prefer to banish a card on the field, since these cards you have to wait till your next turn to be able to use them. But this is what I would prefer to do once I destroy my opponent's monster by battle. Boar Soldiering for obvious reasons, for potential OTKing, and just a monster destroyer in general, best monster in the extra, as a link 4, just enough to ensure that you potentially win the game. For a Nightmare Package, Phoenix, just being able to pop a card and then potentially draw 1. That happens to be a spell trap card. And Unicorn simply was our link 3, just being able to get rid of any card and potentially draw 1 card. 3 link Karibo for obvious reasons, but for some people who want to ask regardless, it's to help me ensure that I don't get OTK'd, to help protect my monsters from being destroyed from a monster that its attack points exceed from compared to my monster. So if they have an opposing monster that has more attack than my monster, it immediately makes that monster's attack point 0 by attributing itself. And you considering we're playing, considering like all our Floowandereeze monsters are our lower level Floowandereeze monsters are level 1. It's just one link group. Link group is something that you should not ignore. And it's something that's easily accessible. And then on top of that, being able to special summon itself from the graveyard. And just where it just keeps, where you have this pile of Linkaribos just willing to protect you and save you from several amounts of damage, and then you have a chance of wanting to outwit and be able to damage your opponent to the point where you have enough life points. And the life points do matter, but like you want to make sure you don't reach 0. Rather, you want to make your opponent's monster attack 0, so they don't have something that can hurt you. Again, something that you may consider, but 3 just want to have the chance of actually opening it, just being able to access it. It's just really abusable. It's one of those cards I feel that will just always come in handy. And for our Tribe Brigades, we're just playing the link to Baron for 1 copy of Baron Blossom. It may be confusing, but just you can link 2 with using 2 your winged beast monsters, and then specials, and you don't really have to normal. It's only necessary if you are going into your link 4s, or if you're going to Nightmare Unicorn. That's where I say it's most necessary, most important. But I only use it unless I happen to go into, if I'm wanting to go into my link 4 or into a Nightmare Unicorn. And top of that, just because considering all your Floowandereeze lower level monsters are level 1 winged beast monsters, you can easily be able to take advantage of that. And although it is a normal deck that basically normal summons, you want to be able to special summon if you have no other choice, but you need something from your extra deck that can pretty much be able to deal with your opponent's cards that maybe is enough to become clutch. And what I mean clutch is that can do something that none of your cards in the main deck can possibly handle. So you have something extra that can handle the pressure. And on top of that, if it's sent to the graveyard, you can draw a card, then place 1 card from your hand at the bottom of the deck, so for more consistency. And our final Tribe Brigade, Shurag, the Ominous Omen, something that you want to consider going into if using Baron Blossom, or if you prefer as another link 4 besides Boros Sword, Dragon. Just being able to banish a card on the field with no that happens to be non-targeting, just essentially very powerful card. And then if it's sent from the field to the grave, just being able to add any winged beast or beast warrior or winged lurler, whatever that has beast in its name, from your deck to your hand, whose levels is less or equal to the number of your banished beast warrior, winged beast monsters. And so that, like, even if the thing is that you can always get your Floowandereeze you can always get your level 1 Floowandereeze monsters, because you're at least gonna have at least one that's banished. So it's something that you always have to 100% consider, is that if you have at least, because it's so easy to, I feel like it's gonna 100% happen. Like if you at least have 1 Floowandereeze monster that's banished, especially when it says that they are banished when they leave the field while face up, you always are 100% sure gonna get your Floowandereeze monsters, and you can be able to activate their effects next turn. Whether it's next turn, this turn, doesn't matter, but it's always 100% gonna make Floowandereeze accessible. But I'm talking about the lower level ones, because the lower level ones can always fetch you the bigger monsters too. But there's something that you possibly can't ignore, but you have to also pretty much put in your extra deck. And then it's no exception. Again, I can never even reconsider taking out my extra deck, because that at least always reminds me that this card can let me know for sure that it's always there for me, that it's always there to help me, lend me my Floowandereeze monsters, and then eventually going to go to my hand to the point that I get possibly the cards I want, and then that will be enough to annihilate my opponent and just get more cards. And the more cards I have, eventually my opponent's gonna have to scoop. So, or I have the opportunity to kill my opponent, and then they have to eventually say GG. And again, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Obviously, it's not, the deck profile itself was very long, but for those who may be confused, who are trying to get into Yu-Gi-Oh!, I want to be able to put my thought and explanation so you have a better understanding. Although it's very long, but it's also important that you listen again, so you can also be able to prove your dueling, and that it's important if you do tend to take Yu-Gi-Oh! Very seriously. If you want opportunities, always ask from somebody who has experience, like someone like me, and I will be providing this content. It's not going to be always, but just because I don't want to be making you guys bored again. Be real, making this video was fun. I just hope you guys can enjoy, maybe be able to take this as a learning experience again, just be able to take this into thought, how you want to deck build, and pretty much process all this and figure if this is something you want to do in real life or you just want to play online. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to check for more upcoming content later in the future. Be sure to check your notifications, comment, like, subscribe. Thank you.